I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
First cut is only the beginning.
You will end this. I'm going to bring the whole system down.
Experience the shocking, unrated director's cut. Law-abiding citizen, only on Blu-ray, February 16th.
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. And this is another Patreon request, this time for Broad Stipe. If anyone's ever interested in requesting any type of reviews, topics, reactions, re-reviews, lists, pretty much any type of video, you just send a request either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. And this time it is for Law-Abiding Citizen. Now, this is a film that came out around 2009 and it's directed by F. Gary Gray. F. Gary Gray, he had directed Friday. So it's definite change of pace for him. Later he would direct Fast and Furious 8. He did that Men in Black International, which that wasn't one of his best moments. This is one that... it's a really good flick. There are people that talk about it, but not a whole lot. I know Gerard Butler, he's proud of the film. He does these things where they ask him, hey, talk about your roles. I've seen a couple of them on YouTube. And he always brings this film up. Because originally... and by the way, Gerard Butler is a producer on this, so it's definitely a pet project for him. It was supposed to be Gerard Butler as the lawyer and Jamie Foxx as the villain, anti-hero, however you want to call him. But somewhere along the way, it got switched. Gerard Butler, this is, I would say, one of his best roles. And that's why, on one hand, it's actually a benefit that they switch roles. Because I don't know... I like Jamie Foxx. I don't know if he could have played this role as effectively as Gerard Butler did. Because the setup of the film is... Gerard Butler plays this guy named Clyde Shelton. Very early on in the film, his wife and kid are killed. Slaughtered. He trusts the justice system... but Jamie Foxx, he does not want to screw up his high conviction rate. So he makes a deal. So of the two criminals, one, they're in for good. They don't get lethally injected after some time. The other pretty much gets a slap on the wrist. A couple years and they're gone. And Gerard Butler's like, no, you can't make a deal with this guy. You gotta fight it. You gotta do something about it. And as Jamie Foxx says, some justice is better than no justice at all. But that's not really why he's doing it. He's doing it because he doesn't want to fuck up his high conviction rate. So not really the most morally strong character Jamie Foxx is. Now granted, he's not absolutely supporting the criminals either. Because one of the other guys during the trial, he says something, and Jamie Foxx goes up to the guy and goes, Please fuck up so I can destroy you. So things happen. Then it jumps 10 years later. At this point, Jamie Foxx has a daughter. His wife, played by Regina Hall. There's a little bit of friction because Jamie Foxx, of course, is busy with his job. He's not going to his daughter's dance recitals. But he's just very adamant on his job. It says 10 years later, the criminal that did get convicted, which is actually Josh Stewart, the star of The Collector and the Collection. This guy's ready to get lethally injected. I went, why do I recognize that guy? Oh shit, it's Josh Stewart. And yeah, if you've seen The Collector and the Collection, the star of those movies, you'll recognize this guy. But during the injection, something goes wrong. His veins are protruding, and he's in pain when it's supposed to be a painless procedure. And you know something is awry. The other guy who got off easy, and really was the guy that did the killing anyway, he gets a call from someone saying you gotta leave, cops are coming after you. It's all a big ploy from Gerard Butler's character to get the guy and completely and utterly fucking torture him. Make his death as painful as can be. And even early on, it showcases how smart this character is. Where he pretends to be a cop, has a guy with a gun pick up a gun, but it's got this little thing that just peels off his hand, these indentures, and it's this tetrodotoxin, so he can't move, he's pretty much paralyzed, but he can still feel. He ties the guy down, and he tells him what he's going to slowly do to him, while a giant mirror is up top, about how he's going to cut your eyelids off, and there's going to be for your dick, there's going to be for all this stuff for what you did to my wife and kid. And then he lets himself get arrested after his crime and cutting this guy up to pieces. But even when in jail, as he puts it, well, he doesn't say it yet, but he wants to make the justice system pay. As he puts it, this thing is flawed. This thing is... This broken thing, release me or I'll kill everyone. I'm tired of this broken thing. And he's just tired of how the system is corrupt and broken and diseased, and he wants to bring it all down. And so even though this guy's in jail, even to a point solitary, there's still people Jamie Foxx knows, judges, others that are getting killed systematically one by one. Because you find out that Gerard Butler's character is pretty much a mastermind. You know, he was a former spy, he was a brain as they call it, and he knows how to do his thing. And some of the ways people get killed is definitely surprising. When I first saw this, I went, oh shit, didn't see that coming. And it's definitely R-rated. This movie went at a very fast pace. I mean, the flick is an hour and 50 minutes, give or take, but it did not feel long at all. The Gerard Butler knocks out of the park, almost to the detriment of Jamie Foxx, and I do think Jamie Foxx does a good job, but it's funny when you go online and you go on IMDb, so many people are rooting for this guy up until the very end. You know, they want him to win. And even Gerard Butler, when you see, again, I forget the exact, I just saw him. It might have been like G2, and there was another one, like iconic roles. He talks about how there's supposed to be a point that the audience is supposed to turn on this guy, but a lot of the audience, they were with him for the whole shebang, and that wasn't really the intention. But I was like, well, that's actually kind of interesting. As a justice at any cost, says here. So, how do I review this without going to spoilers? Gerard Butler, I'll say it again, I'll keep saying it, he knocks out of the park. He's the best thing about the movie. The way he manipulates stuff and what happens is pretty insane. But to me, this is a in a way, a more interesting version of a Saw movie, in a way. Yeah, I would say because they're two guys and there's traps. I don't know if you call them traps, but there's certain, like, this game's being played, and I gotta go into spoilers starting now. It's the best way I can do it. Because the things he does is, for example, a judge picks up a phone, and as soon as she picks it up, boom, like this shotgun blast, boom, right against her head. It's like an explosive charge on the phone. There's another where they're at a cemetery, they're driving, and there's this mounted heavy-duty weaponry that shoots the shit out of this vehicle in front, and even blows it up, shoots a fucking missile at it. There's also another point where, and there are innocent people, these DAs, innocent, including this girl named Sarah. They're innocent, but boom, their cars get systematically blown up, one after the other, as this sort of mind game between Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased Trump temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical. Gerard Butler sells the shit out of this. And like I said, it was interesting looking at bit online where a lot of people to this day feel that Gerard Butler's character should have won. They should have won, that he should have been the winner, the champion. They did not like Jamie Foxx's character. They still didn't like Jamie Foxx's character, but by the end of the film, they felt that Gerard Butler was always in the right, and they got pissed at the ending. They were pissed that Gerard Butler's character died. They were pissed, and like, this is bullshit, this is Hollywood bullshit, what, you gotta have Jamie Foxx live? This is bullshit, he should have won, he should have walked away. Don't believe it, go on IMDb. Countless comments about how Gerard Butler's character, and it was interesting to read that stuff. And while I don't agree, why I don't agree is because the way I looked at the movie, you were with him to a point. His wife and daughter got murdered horribly, but he sends his video of him killing the guy, taking him apart, but he sent it, and it got to a point where Jamie Foxx's daughter saw it. And even Jamie Foxx told Gerard Butler, and Gerard had no recoil, no empathy. He didn't care. That's one example. Okay, Gerard Butler's character's going too far. To not even have empathy to a girl who's totally innocent in this situation. And technically, like, the judge, they're not 1% morally right, but not condemned to death worthy either. Like the lady judge and others. And there were some that were completely innocent. Like the younger lady, I believe her name was Sarah, worked with Jamie Foxx. She was barely doing anything 10 years ago when that happened. And she's just doing her job and sees that some people are getting killed that, they didn't murder anyone. Some of these people did absolutely nothing wrong, and they're being killed and blown up. And to me, that's when it is taken too far. This justice. Now you are murdering innocent people. And where does that stop? That's the thing. You want to start, where does it stop? Where does it end? You kill someone for a candy bar? You kill someone because they stole it, I should say. Stole a candy bar? You kill the guy who was just there making copies, just there to pay the bills, making copies. Someone goes in, hey, I need to borrow your bathroom to take a piss. Is Gerard Butler going to kill him? You took a piss and you didn't do anything about it. You pissed me off and explode his pisser. Just make his balls explode with TNT dynamite. I mean, where does it end? To me, I disagree with those commenters. Yeah, the one thing at the end, which I was fine with, but it does make you question the logistics of it. Because you find out the reason he's able to do this, He planned to get in that prison. He planned to get into solitary. Very brutal moment where he stabs the shit out of this other cellmate in the neck with a bone. That was pretty graphic and violent. Because throughout the 10 years, he traded and had all these... He traded this stuff, got rich, had all these properties, into one property that he actually dug a tunnel into the fucking prison. And the fact that he's able to do that and no one notices it, that's some Batman quality thing there, man. That's Batman would be impressed. Because you have Batman, like, how the fuck does he have caves all over and all this shit? How did he get there? And I guess he did it himself. I mean, on one hand, I'm like, any way you could describe this would be disappointing as to how he's able to manipulate all this. Because if you have an associate, if you have an apprentice or an applicant, a partnership, an accomplice, you'd be going, well, where the fuck did that person come from? Where the fuck did that person come from? And if you introduce someone, then, well, you don't have a lot of red herrings, and the movie is now taking that toil of going through all these red herrings. And okay, if you're not going to do that, how else are you going to explain? Well, there's got to be a way he sneaks out. What, he's going to pay off the guards? I think any way you did it, it would be disappointing. That's just how I feel. So to me, as outrageous as it is, I'm like, okay. I mean, if at least the movie did mention he's a big planner, like that's his job. Granted, I'm thinking no one knew one of his warehouses was around here beforehand. And like, okay, he's this genius, but they're able to figure this out. Like, for such a genius, it's weird that he left all these clues. Well, not even clues, but it seems like more evidence than he should have left behind. I mean, it's just one of those that you think about logically. Logically, yeah. So I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but I do think it's a fun as in fun to see Gerard Butler work and how each of the people he deems guilty meet their demise. And I do like Jamie Foxx, but I said this before. I like Jamie Foxx as an actor. I think he does a good job for what he's given. But at the same time, I do wonder if you had an even stronger actor, maybe then that could have benefited the whole thing of wanting to see Gerard Butler's character get a comeuppance. Because when you watch the film, Gerard Butler easily outshines Jamie Foxx in terms of acting and in terms of performance. If anyone talks about this film, no one's talking about Jamie Foxx. No one's talking about his performance. No one's talking about his character. But anyone who talks about this film, they always strengthen their critique, and a positive critique, their praise for Gerard Butler, because he stole the show. He stole it from under Jamie Foxx and outshined and outperformed Jamie Foxx. So you have a lead getting outperformed by the villain, so thus the villain is even more of a showcase of, oh, I want to see him win, because he's either the most interesting character, or he's the better actor, he's given the more electric performance. If you had, as the lawyer, Al Pacino or Ryan Gosling or Tom Hanks would have been interesting, because he doesn't get to do many roles like this. Like I said, the Tom Hanks against Gerard Butler, like Ryan Gosling and Gerard Butler, or even Denzel Washington. Like, if you had Denzel Washington in this role against Gerard Butler, and the Denzel that could be intense like in Man on Fire, like Denzel versus Gerard Butler, I think that would have worked out much better. And in retrospect, now that I think about it, Denzel should have been the lead, not Jamie Foxx. And no disrespect to Jamie Foxx. I thought he did fine. But Denzel, if you had someone like that, he could bring intensity to match Gerard Butler's intensity. And those two clashing, and maybe even a bit more in the script where to more pinpoint Gerard Butler has lost his way, that character, he's too far gone. Maybe really truly innocent people die, and he talks about like collateral damage. Like any war. Listen, this is a war on this diseased, corrupt temple. And every war has collateral damage. Something like that to really, in your face, go, this guy is too far. He's going too far. If it was even as blatant as there's some bomb and some kids were murdered, some kids got killed, or something to that effect. Now, I will admit, it would have been interesting if they actually did try to do if they actually did try to do the movie where Gerard Butler won at the end, I'd be curious to see how that was pulled off. But I do like the movie as is. And even the ending with again, he's not thinking about it. He thinks he's going to blow something up. The bomb is in his cell. F. Gary Gray did a really solid job directing this. This is one of those things that it showed he can do more than just comedy like Friday. The way this is shot, where you see this slow explosion and you see this fire, and this fire behind Gerard and this fire in front of Gerard, almost as if the gates of hell are opening and welcoming Gerard Butler. It looks good. It looks like real fire. And the way those effects are done, I was very much impressed. Watch it again. It's not chintzy CG fire. It didn't look chintzy. It looked really cool. I didn't amplified for escapism because, of course, if explosion, boom, you're dead. But it was trying to be more artistic with it. But it looked cool. And with the final detonation, the final fate of this character, it was worth it. To you actually see a little bit here, honestly. But watch it again. To me, it's a very solid thriller. It's a very solid thriller, despite, again, Jamie Foxx is okay. I like it, but that's one of the few things I would say, if you had someone like a Denzel Washington, or I mentioned like a Ryan Gosling, or I mentioned Ryan Gosling because I really enjoyed this film called Fracture, or Al Pacino, instead of fucking 80 minutes, that piece of shit, if Al Pacino and Gerard Butler, it'd be like a sequel to Injustice for All. It's this character from Injustice for All as this. I mean, he lost his way, goes back. I mean, that'd be interesting. And I almost forget, Kurt Wimmer wrote this. Kurt Wimmer, he's the guy who directed Equilibrium, my favorite Christian Bale film. Equilibrium's great, and Kurt Wimmer, after, what was it, Ultraviolet? He did not direct a lot of movies, sadly, but he did give his writing duties to quite a few films, including this. And this had a shitload of producers. Lucas Foster, Gerard Butler, Alan Siegel, Mark Gill, Kurt Wimmer, Robert Katz. 6 producers. But I still rather enjoy the film. Supporting cast, Bruce McGill. I remember him as Jean-Claude Van Damme's captain in Time Cop. He's in this as one of Jamie Foxx's friends. Cole Meany. Cole Meany, he was mainly known for his role in Star Trek The Next Generation. I forget his character's name there. He was... You remember Scotty in the original Star Trek? He was kind of their... He's kind of the Next Generation's version of Scotty on Next Generation. I do like Cole Meany. He plays the cop who's on the case, who helps out Jamie Foxx. It's always nice to see him. I enjoy him as an actor. I mentioned Regina Hall. And yeah, the movie was not that boring. It went at a good pace. Like I said, the intricacies of what Gerard Butler's... how he carries out his mission. And again, the way he does it, and his dialogue scenes. Like, there's a bit where, during this trial early on, he represents himself. He's talking to the judge. He's going on about, well, you know what? These guys have no evidence against me, and they keep me detained without bail. It's unconstitutional, and there's this case and this case to represent that. And the judge is about ready to let him go on bail. And then he laughs. He goes, "You're about to let me go? Are you kidding me? How misguided are you? You probably like to take you up the ass, don't you? Here you are, you're letting criminals and killers just leave out on bail just because I said a couple lines, because I said a couple comparisons and examples." Because in a way, I can understand why people really enjoyed... I enjoy his performance, but rooted for the character to the end. Because the idea of the system being unjust, the system being fucked up, the system being not fair and needing fixed, and maybe to break it down and then maybe to get rebuilt. And it could be interesting to go that route. If it wasn't for him killing some of the innocent people, like the younger girl Sarah, granted, on one hand, people are like, I don't give a shit about the lady, she's blonde, and who gives a shit? And a lot of people felt that way. I don't give a shit. Drop Butler all the way. Let him win. You know, with all I've heard, it does seem like most people, if Gerard Butler won and walked away, allow me to introduce myself. Nice to meet you. Yes, you know my name. Sympathy for the Devil. For some reason, if it ended with Gerard Butler walked away, I just imagine that song popping up. And I think people would have... this might have been even a bigger hit, honestly. But as is, like I said, I do enjoy the film as is. Yeah, I do think it's a solid flick. But just one of those interesting things where... If the roles were reversed, Gerard Butler was the lawyer, Jamie Foxx was the villain, I wonder if people would feel the same way. I do wonder. This is up to the individual. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.